everybody, welcome back to the Malbeefance channel. This is episode 22 in our continuing series replay of Strategic Command World War II, War in the Pacific. Things are looking like they're really going to take off for the Allies here this turn, or this upcoming turn, I should say. So let's not delay any further, and let's go ahead and advance a turn and see what we get. Alright, so as usual, my first Mongolian Cavalry Corps is not doing well in the supply arena. China celebrates the liberation of Canton. Huge victory there, in my opinion. Loss of Canton reduces Japanese national morale. Understandable. Japan increases her island defenses. Okay, so that just put a whole bunch of garrisons out on the islands. I wonder if that's going to mess up my planned invasion of the Palau Islands. The Quit India movement causes unrest again. Red Army raises the siege of Leningrad. Historical event there. History remembers that as the 1,000 days, but it didn't reach 1,000. It was a little shy. British Empire develops logistics level 3. Hey, it's all marketing. Communist China develops industrial technology level 3. Awesome. And there is our ledger for the up and coming turn. And I wonder if that's our carrier from Saigon, the damaged Junio. Alright, so we got a little bit of naval action, a lot of reinforcement going on. So far, just a little bit of movement on the part of the Japanese army. Anything else going on? Because it looks like they're digging in for the winter. Which is not a bad plan. Alright, we are getting some offensive operations here in northern China. Small attempt at a breakout in Manchuria. Very little fighting down in southern China, though. Did not see the air war like we normally do. Are we looking at some rearranging going on, or Quit India movement causes unrest 2 turns in a row? They're getting a little uppity, aren't they? Alright, so there is our convoy interdiction. And there is our activity summary. Alright, so U.S. intelligence spots an army in Nagasaki. And somebody spotted a corps near Tokyo. 11th Airborne deploys on the west coast. So the Russian 128th paratroopers deploys. So I don't need them up in Sakhalin. Let's go ahead. Put them on the rail. Alright, so who's this? Australian, nope, New Zealand, 2nd Expeditionary Force. Alright, they need to be upgraded. Alright, so that is going to do it for our reinforcements and pre-turn announcements. So let's go ahead and get the Reno upgraded. And that is about all we're going to be able to do on the U.S. West Coast. We're not moving anybody from the Central Pacific Islands. Can't do anything yet with the New Zealand Corps, unfortunately. Massachusetts is finishing up her repairs. Lucky to be afloat after her encounter with the Musashi. Hey, you think Massachusetts look bad? You should see the other guy. All right, go ahead and finish repairing and upgrading these folks that are in port. All right, so before I do anything else, let's go ahead and see what kind of upgrades or reinforcements we've got here. Last turn there was nobody on the island. And it looks like it stays that way. All right. So in that case, instead of doing more damage with our aircraft, we'll go ahead and we'll take the objective hexes. All right. Unfortunately, those guys took losses coming on the island. And boom, just like that, the islands have changed hands. Awesome. So that puts us in an excellent position to springboard off into the Philippines. So now this is 3rd Marine Division. Go ahead and move the fleet up a little bit. Protect those amphibs. All right, so that's one big upset that's done. All right, this might not be a good idea. But I want to have some kind of picket in there. Now I know all these islands are still in Japanese control. However, I don't see the computer attempting an end around any kind of expedition out into here. Now who's this? 10th Marines, artillery. Okay. So can I land them? No, I'll keep them on the boats. Can I get him out onto transports yet? No, I cannot. Next turn though, because that'll be up to a 5. All right. All right, so U.S. forces, now before, oh, I just moved him, okay. Let's have a look, see what we got up there. There's nothing at Ambon. Excellent. And we should still have the 2 garrisons here on Timor. Yep. All right. Can he land? Yes, he can. That's MacArthur's headquarters. still. All right, so he's helping cover defense there. Same as him, although their supplies are really low. Can I get the Australians out of there yet? Nope, not yet. Yeah, because port's only at 3. It's got to be up to 5 before I can get them out of there. You guys come back and cover that amphib. You guys cover that one. They cover the carriers. Now, he ain't got the greatest supply. Neither does he. I can get him on a transport. Awesome. I'll go ahead and hold him in reserve for now. The Aussies, however, whoops, wrong button. There we go. Can I get him as elite reinforcements? No, I can't. Well, let's at least get him onto the road. All right, so we'll leave 2nd Marine Air Wing there for the moment. If nothing else, they can defend this area, just in case I'm wrong and the Japanese try to make a raid down there. All right, so we have taken both of the Palau Islands. That's going to hurt. And I think we're about done on this side of the map. Nope, 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 nope. Keep them close to shore. All right, so we've got a pretty big force, the Australians and Americans all together here. We're going to start hitting Indonesian islands, working our way across, helping out the British force here as we squeeze in on Batavia and take Indonesia back. All right, so unfortunately, this guy's got to come back for supplies, but fortunately, we have a nearby port. See if we can find that carrier. There she is. All right, let's hope that little cauldron, they can pick her up as she comes back out of port. Now the Ceylon luckily survived Yunyo's attack. All right, now let's see. We can soften them up a little bit. I shouldn't have moved him. I should have tried to upgrade him to level 2 weapons. All right, but we got a supply line coming down from the port here at Medan, and we just took the oil fields, so the British are making progress. But now I've given away the carrier's position, so let's get them out of there. All right, upgrade the Queen Elizabeth. And now on to Burma. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. They couldn't have popped. No, I didn't think so. I didn't think they left it undefended. Grr. I need to get them closer to a U.S. or Chinese headquarters. Can I operate him? Yes, I can. Does it help any? Yes, it does. All right. Does 10th Air Force? Yes, they do. All right. Or excuse me, 14th Air Force has the Flying Tigers covering for them. All right, not bad, not bad. Flying Tigers took some hurt, but could have been a lot worse. Don't know how much damage we did, though. I was hoping he had enough movement points to get across the river, but you also have the mountains here, so he just doesn't have enough movement points to get there. I was hoping to have him attack the plains. No. Either way, right now I'm going to be using him to block in case they try and come up this way. Now, this guy, no need to force march him. We'll go ahead and we'll push down the railway, see what we can do there. All right, I think that about does it for Burma. So moving over here to southern China. All right, do I have the bomber? I don't think the bombers are close enough. Nope. All right. Oh, bummer. I didn't like the idea of leaving the city open. No telling what kind of surprises might be pulled on me. Oh, and they do not have air support. Do I go after the garrison or do I go after Fuzhou? That answers that question. We got a chance of taking him out, taking that army out, so let's jump on it. Now these guys I got to get closer. Now let's put him in the city for now. I'll be able to reinforce him next turn. Now up here, so they've got not great odds, so we'll just go ahead and play defense there for the moment. Almost got him. Keeping the pressure on, or at least trying to. Now, I was asked some time ago that it didn't look like artillery was really having much effect in the game, and I really wasn't using it a lot. That was while I was playing as the Japanese, and the Japanese don't have a lot of artillery that they can put in the game. I think it's like a maximum of 3 heavy artillery pieces, 2 that I remember, and you can actually see them here on the map. But I think at best they get a 3rd one, so there's not a whole lot of artillery that the Japanese can deploy. Now the Allies, I think, it looks to me like so far this game, and please remember this is my first time playing all the way through as the Allies. Usually I've just been practicing as the Allies, so I'm only playing like 3, 4, maybe 5 turns max. This is the furthest I've ever gone as the Allies, and it looks to me like each of the Allied powers can deploy 1 artillery piece, and then I think the U.S. and the Russians can get 2 out there, maybe 3. So combined, they've got a lot of artillery pieces, the Allies, but individually they don't. So compared to Strategic Command World War I and Strategic Command War in Europe, I can see why it doesn't look like artillery is really playing a big role out here in the Pacific. Now, as far as what damage it is doing, what little artillery there is, the damage that it is doing, I really haven't seen a lot of damage. I don't know if that is because of the lack of numbers or if it is a result of the low artillery tech. I'm not sure. You guys are going to have to let me, you're going to have to give me some ideas, what you've seen as to what's going on there, because I have been trying to keep artillery technology up, but it still doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot to do a lot of damage, or even a little bit of damage. I know plugging that gap with an anti-air unit's not the smartest idea, but I got to work with what I got. I don't feel like leaving that hole there. Oh, maybe just the threat of him being up there will get him to move that headquarters unit out of there. They've got to go back for more supplies, unfortunately. Those odds are actually worth it, considering what the Japanese have got to do to reinforce him. All right, I'll keep him there. All right, so the two Chinese headquarters are in good spots. He's a bit exposed. But at least he's able to cover the offensive down here to try and take back Hong Kong. I need that other Chinese headquarters down here to help finish the push on Hainan. All right, so that is going to take care of China proper. Now, our Russian friends. See if I can get him back up here, and then maybe make either get him out of there, get some garrison units to help hold the area up there. All right, so I probably don't need him here anymore. So we'll get him down to Vladivostok. That way he's got more options. All right, well that petered out pretty fast. I'm not trying to delay the attack on the Manchurian capital. I'm just looking to see if I want to deliberately save it for last in order to be able to make the most use of any other available units. And that takes care of the Manchurian pocket. All right, so on to the capital. And he's only got one shot. Better than nothing. All right, so let's see what our odds are. Not good. All right, let's start here. All right, well that helped improve the tanks odds. So we might be able to pull this off. That's what I get for saying something. All right, we still have an opportunity here. And there it is. That was a major breakthrough. All right, so we took Sinking. That is really going to hurt. I am not getting any supplies for my submarines from the Soviets. So unfortunately, this guy's going to have to take the long haul. But at least I only sent one ship up there to figure that out. All right, so that means he can come back down here. All right. How much can he cover? not as much as I'd hoped. All right, so I got to get him closer in here in order to cover both armies. All right. That should help. Yep. Anything need to move up? Nope, doesn't look like it. That's just a garrison. All right, I think that's going to do it for operational movement and combat for the Allies for this turn. Just having another look just to be sure. I think I got that all that massive armada moved where I wanted to. Yep. All right. So let's look at purchases. Let's go ahead. Good. We're starting with the Russians because I want to jump on the idea of going ahead and getting a couple of garrisons out there. And how many submarines do I got coming? Just the one? Let's go ahead and order another submarine. And that is going to do it for Russian production points. Moving over to Britain. Or the British Empire. So what do we want to do here? I can go ahead and get another corps out in the field. They really don't need much more Navy. I mean, look at it. There another battleship, 2 more carriers, 2 destroyers, a light cruiser. So let's go ahead and try and get more troops out in the field. All right, we'll bank the rest. Now, United States could always use more carriers. Excuse me. Ooh, they were expensive. All right, but if I have to invade the home islands, I'm going to need some heavy hitters. All right, so we did the Russians. Now, the Chinese. Can I get some more? Nope, they are maxed out on their fighters and tactical bombers. The medium bombers would be helpful, but right now another army in the field I think would be more helpful. All right, so now the Chinese. Do I have? Yeah, their headquarters is coming back, I thought. No, maybe not. Okay, so let's save up and we'll go ahead and get their headquarters back. Australia, I spent most of theirs on on amphibious operations. That's why they're so low. Well, they got 125 left. Is there something in research I can do? Advanced tanks, anti-submarine warfare, anti-aircraft defense. So yeah, let's help out their ships. What few of them I got in the game. All right, so that is going to take care of this turn. Let's go ahead and advance the turn and see what happens. All right, once again, the Mongolian Cavalry Corps is suffering supply losses. Japanese morale suffers due to loss of sinking. So Japanese morale is sinking after the loss of Sinking. Japanese morale suffers due to the loss of Peleliu and the loss of Babelthorpe. Allies liberate Manchuria. Go Reds! Alright, Governor General of India, the Japanese advance into Southeast Asia poses a great threat to India, you think? And serious invasion could place our empire in mortal danger. It is therefore recommended that we mobilize as many police, reservists, and volunteers as possible in order to provide garrisons to defend key locations. Let's see, deploying 2 garrison units will cost 70 production points for over 2 turns. And they will have any appreciable research upgrades. That's nice. One will deploy at Calcutta, the other at Madras, or at Madras, whatever that word is, and whatever that word is. Our intention being to keep its location unknown to the Japanese, okay? In view of the grave threat posed by the enemy, would you like to deploy these garrisons? The grave threat posed by... What reports is he looking at? Grave threat posed by the enemy? I still want the units, but I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around that phrasing. Right? Great threat posed. We've been pushing them back for the last 3 turns in a row. Come on, guys. Well, at least now I got more garrison units. I can have them follow up behind the advance in Burma. All right. British scientists report advanced subs up to 36%. And command and control level 2. U.S. spying and intelligence level 3. Russian advanced submarines up to 36. And submarine warfare up to 69. And there is our garrison for, or excuse me, our ledger for the up and coming turn. I tell you, man, those intel boys locked up back in their little research labs. They got to get out and actually look at the strategic map more. The great threat posed by... Okay. If you say so. Like 10 turns ago, yeah. So again, we're not seeing much in the way of air war. The Japanese had... they were really kicking my backside with the air war for a while. And now it's like down to nothing. Yeah, I get the impression that there's a lot of pulling back going on down in Southeast Asia. I mean, maybe they're trying to shift some of those forces up to Manchuria, or they're just maxing out defense for the home islands. All right, Emperor, is that Poi, I think, of Manchukuo resigns and surrenders himself to the Allied forces. And there is our convoy disruption information. All right, U.S. intelligence spots a garrison near Tokyo, and we have spotted kamikazes near Banda. Sorry, got my tongue twisted around on that one. Soviets spot a corps near Tokyo, and they spot a headquarters unit there in Thailand. Anti-air spotted near Saipan, and a garrison in Singapore. The Australians spotted those. And they spot a garrison in Nanjing. Anything else? Nope, that's it. All right, so reinforcements. 3rd British Empire, 3rd Special Forces. Let me go ahead and put them in Chittagong. And 1st Marine Paratroopers. Anybody else? Yep. Chinese 5th Garrison. Let's get him over here. Little bit of protection for that headquarters unit. Now, do I have a Chinese headquarters unit coming? No, I do not. So while I've got the money right now, let's Let's go ahead and buy him before I do anything else. Alright, moving on to the U.S. West Coast. The Reno can now get underway. And I do believe... Well, they're paratroopers, so it would be a good idea to improve their anti-aircraft defense, as much as I'd like to get them out onto the map as quickly as possible. So going back to my scouters here. Doesn't look like anything in the Marshall Islands. Still. Now, unfortunately... Okay, he can only reinforce 1 point, so in that case... They must have improved anti-aircraft defenses. Yeah, I'm gonna have to stop doing that. All right, so let's look at repairs. All right, Massachusetts is able to come out of port. After all this time. All right, let me hold him there for the moment. All right, I'm thinking about what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do this. Do I want to move the amphibs first? Do I want to put more guys out on the water? I can only reinforce him 1 point. I definitely want to get the Australian headquarters out onto the water. But I may wind up taking a port before he can get into theater, in which case I don't have to spend the additional production points to put him on an amphib. Instead, I can put him on a regular transport, cost less. So, all right, let's go ahead. We're going to hit try and put as much pain and hate and discontent as I can on Billy before the troops land. And because I got 2 air wings over the carriers, I'm going to switch the escort carrier to bombers, but he's got to get closer. There we go. Alright, so that is Eichelberger's HQ. Whoops. Ah. We got back here, First Corps. Sweet. Alright, that gives us Dilly. Fantastic. Can only upgrade anti-air defense. But I can land his headquarters now. So that'll help out. Unfortunately, MacArthur's stuck there for the moment. And hey, he grabbed the port, all right? That's got to be worth something. All right, go ahead and cover the carriers. Can I do anything? Oh, I actually can get them back up onto their transports. All right. In that case, 3rd Marine Special Forces. Can you reach? No, you can't. That's all right. We'll get you closer. And we are back in the Philippines. Plug these gaps coming through here if I can. He can actually help out. I don't need him for blocking the carriers. That ought to be an unpleasant surprise. Somebody trying to come down in through here. And they run into, is that Missouri or no, that's Iowa. Okay. That's New Jersey. All right, freaking awesome. So what is our supply on the islands right now? Not great. All right, so I'm not going to move these guys because they're sitting on an actual supply point. Now, can I get him out of there yet? Nope. So that means, nope, I'm not going to be able to get him out either. All right, fantastic. We've got troops on Davao. And we're going to have more following it up. I can only reinforce him 1 point. Let's go ahead and do it. Can I get the tanks? Yes, I can. Even though they're not at full strength. I'm just going to try and absolutely curb stomp that garrison in Davao. And the artillery will be able to offload next turn. All right, so now I can go ahead and move up all of these transports. I forgot all about this guy. All right, might have to get another garrison or two out there. So now you... Actually, that's what I'm going to do with him. put him here on Rabaul, I can get that fighter out of there. That fighter wing out of there. All right. So I think that's going to do it. The American push is moving along nicely. We've taken the eastern half of Timor. We've got troops in southern Philippines on the island of Mindanao. Excellent. All right, so let's move on to the Royal Navy and the Royal Expeditionary Force. Whoops. What, you can't make a second attack? Yeah, you got another. I'm just clicking the wrong buttons. And no good there. All right, let's do this. Still, odds stink. All right, supply will improve over time. Now he should be back up. Yep, he is. Where'd our carrier friend go? Gave us a slip. Now, looks like it. Oof. Get him in for resupply. He's got to come in for resupply also. He needs repair. And I think that's going to do it for the naval forces down there. Finish repairing Queen Elizabeth. Can I up? No, he's not sitting on rail, that's why. There we go. Alright, Flying Tigers need a little bit of rest and reorganization there. These guys are out of supply, which is why their odds were so bad. And I think we just found the remaining Japanese strength in the Burma area. Alright, so we'll leave him here to cover. Man, this guy is going to be hurting. That is a bad place to be right now. Alright, so we have cut off Rangoon from the rest of Japanese-controlled Southeast Asia. I can go ahead and I can bring Royal Sovereign back in for supplies, because we got all these submarines out here at the moment. And he still can't get over that hump. Alright, go around. Alright, so now we got the artillery, and he is full up. Let's see if we can take McCoy. And there it is, folks. Sweet. I figured the army would have better odds than the cavalry. Unfortunately, I used up all of their movement, and now the cavalry can't get in there for a follow-up attack. But I can do that. Alright, now the bombers might... Yes, they are. Awesome. Not doing as much damage as I had hoped. He's back in supply. Awesome. And there it is. Nationalist Chinese forces have now cut, well, they've cut all land communication to Fuzhou. They have not cut sea communications yet. And he can start working his way back here to Palau to get resupplied. Awesome. Alright, so how do I want to do this with the bombers? I want to focus on Hong Kong, so let's get you out of there. Leave him there as block. Not great odds. Let's keep the pressure on. Now I can either try cutting these guys off. They're hurting for supply. He's not, because he's sitting right there on Wuhan. Or at least this way he'll still be in supply. Excuse me. The Nationalist Chinese don't have any more production points, or not many production points left. Yeah, a whole of one, because I spent all that on their getting them headquarters, which is also what I should be doing for the Communist Chinese. So let's do that now while I'm thinking about it. All right, so I guess we'll hold the line here. Get him out of there. And that brings us to the main event. Okay, the northern main event. Alright, so do I upgrade these guys? I mean, they really could benefit from movement improvements. I mean, I know movement is expensive. That upgrade. Oh, they're just handing me Mukden? And Soviet forces have entered China proper. Well, this is a freaking rout. Okay, he's got to get out of there. Oh, awesome. I'll take those odds. They're going to get hurt, but... Can we do it? Do they have any? It doesn't look like they've got... No, they don't have anybody in Pyongyang, but... Well, how's that for an upset? Mukden, we have isolated Darien from land, we have Russian forces in Chinese proper territory, and Pyongyang, unfortunately, they're probably going to be able to jump somebody in there. That's all right. That's all right. I don't mind. All right, so are we forgetting anybody? I moved that submarine. No, I did not. He's just sitting there doing nothing. I probably forgot him last turn, I'll bet you. All right, no worries. All right, so I think that's going to do it for movement and combat for this turn, I'm pretty sure. All right, so Yunyo has given us the slip. Sorry. Don't worry, we'll find her. Sooner or later, she'll show up. All right. Pretty good advances on the part of the allies there. Okay, so what do we got left? All right, so let's go ahead. I want to look at purchases. All right. Mechanized, another headquarters, probably another headquarters would probably be a good idea. All right, so let's get Vandergrift out there. No, I'm not gonna pay for his mobility. I don't have enough money for it. But I do want to get another garrison back out there. Start getting more garrisons onto a couple of those islands. I can go ahead and move up like the blimp and all. All right, so the Russians, Cavalry Corps, Engineers, Destroyers. I can get a corps. Let me get a couple of garrisons for Manchuria. Whoops. Did my thing click twice? Yeah, it did. Oh, I got 4 coming now. What the heck? All right, I think I got enough garrisons. Get another anti-air out there. So that way Zhukov's got one. And we already did both of the Chinese factions. And now the Australians are maxed out on the number of corps they can put out, but not the number of garrisons. So yeah, so they can help with relieving units in the rear area. Oh, and get another anti-aircraft out there. All right. All right, so things are really starting to swing with the Allies, the momentum is really starting to pick up. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get these amphibs, this amphib force. We're going to go ahead and we're going to try and use that to push through the Indonesian islands, go ahead and hop around one another, taking these islands before the computer has a chance to drop garrisons everywhere. Luckily, we got the carrier force down here to help scope it out. And then we've got more U.S. forces coming over the north of New Guinea. They'll go ahead and they'll continue to load up here on Mindanao, and hopefully we'll take Davao here pretty quickly. That'll give us a supply base. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and we'll push up towards Leyte and get our supply through that way. And then obviously the forces will continue to push across to Batavia, then up to go ahead and take Chungking and Brunei and liberate Borneo and Sarawak, while British forces, they'll push on their side towards Batavia, and hopefully they won't have to push too hard. They'll go ahead and they'll get Sumatra, and then they can focus on Singapore. But it looks to me like the Burma forces may wind up reaching Singapore before my amphibious force is able to get there. So, and then now this is awesome to me, okay, because I never expected the Chinese forces to be able to do this. But here we are. They've almost retaken the entire southern coast, which is sweet. So, I mean, I'm sitting here thinking in my head, oh my God, can we have a nationalist Chinese amphibious invasion of Formosa? You know, that'd be sweet. Okay, maybe even Okinawa. All right, now I know I'm getting ahead of myself. All right, so there we are. Oh, smoke. Oh, no, those are the guys that got to stay there because they're garrisoning that. Okay. All right, so that is going to do it for this turn. That is going to do it for this episode. As always, thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, please remember to drop a like and a comment because it helps grow the channel. For a cold second, we were at 100 subscribers, and then no sooner did we reach that wonderful goal than we lost somebody. So sorry about that. Hopefully we'll get back to 100 here real quick, and I'm still working on what kind of goofy little video I want to do in celebration of that. So all right, if you know somebody that likes this kind of content, by all means, go ahead and share it with them. Help us hit, who knows, maybe they'll be the person who helps us hit 100. And then if you haven't already, please subscribe. It's free. Once again, there's that 100. All right, so enough. Thanks again, and I'll see you on the next one.